Trey and I are both adoptive and foster parents, and it's led us into this work with Speak Up to provide a voice for children in foster care.
We'd like to ask you today for your support for Senate Bill 805, which would create the Department of Children's Advocacy here in South Carolina. This department would provide a much-needed voice for children who, through no fault of their own, find themselves at the mercy of our foster care system.
You're going to hear a story in just a minute from Naomi. And she grew up in foster care, and the reason it's important that you hear her is there are hundreds of children with a story like hers, and she is the voice for children. And as you listen to her, I want you to picture children behind her, all with the same story, needing your help, and needing this office, and needing this legislation. Let's listen to Naomi's story, someone who needed a child advocate.
I grew up in the foster care system. I lived in about 7 different foster homes from the span of 10 days old to 15. The third time I went into foster care, I was 9 years old. My mom tried to kill herself. And I saw her. And so the police came and they removed us into foster care. And she went to treatment, and then we came back home. And up until that point, things had been difficult, but not terrible. And about that time, things got pretty terrible. So I stayed away for about 2 years. And then my little brother was born when I was 11 years old. And I really didn't want to go back. But I was afraid that he would be there all alone. And I was afraid of what would happen to him if I didn't go back. Because my sister, who was 2 years older, had protected me through the years from some really dangerous people who had been around us, and she had really absorbed a lot of the difficult things that if it hadn't been for her, they would have happened to me. Things had gotten so bad that, my mom would often leave for a week at a time or days at a time, and we were left in the house. Sometimes there wasn't power on, sometimes there wasn't food to eat. At that point, it was just surviving in my house. We had had several removals, we had had several counselors come in, and throughout it all, we had the same case manager, and I think at that point, I don't know if she had just given up on us, if she was resentful towards us. I think at a certain point, there were a lot of decisions that she made that now that I'm an adult and I can see them, they were not the right thing. And it came at a very high price. So when I was younger and DSS would come, I was really excited. I thought, finally somebody can help. Finally, they see it, and it's real, and there's help, and there's hope. And then the third time they came, I thought, maybe this time it'll work. Maybe this time we'll have the right counselor, or we'll have the right help. Maybe this time my mom will go to the right treatment center, and everything will be okay. And then the 5th time they came, I thought, we're too broken. We can't be fixed. And I thought, how can they not see that? How can they not see that we are beyond repair? And I wonder, as an adult, how they could see that much pain and dysfunction and brokenness and not understand the price that we as kids would pay. And by the 7th time they came, I thought they'll just do more harm than good. Nothing's going to change. And so for me, at that point, they stopped being the hope and the solution. It started becoming the problem and part of it. So I don't like to talk about these things because, as you can see, it's really difficult. And it's very personal. But it's necessary because the kids who are out there, like me and my brothers and my sister, they don't know. They can't say. They don't know where to go. And they need to know that there's someone there for them. And this bill is the way to do that. It's the way to give them a voice and a place to go. The child advocate would work for them and be their voice. And the idea of that, to me, if there is one thing I could do, for all the kids that come behind me, if my experience or my brother's experience would be the sacrifice for others, it would be for this. So that here in South Carolina, we could make a voice so that no other kid has to arrive at that place where they feel like there's no place to go.
If that moves you, and I don't know how it couldn't, then I invite you to act. There's links below how you can contact your legislators. And I ask you to contact them today, tomorrow, and next week until this bill becomes law.
This Department of Children's Advocacy is going to be that solution, is going to be the voice for the child at the systemic level to address their needs and issues.
This won't happen unless these children have your voice fighting for them. They need you today. Our legislators need to hear from you. So we invite you to act now.
Thank you.